Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about how to convert more Zillow leads into qualified buyers. All you out there as real estate agents are thinking to yourself, should I buy Zillow leads or are they too expensive? How do I ensure to myself that I'm going to get a return on investment? So today again, we're going to talk about how to convert more Zillow leads into qualified real estate buyers. Let's get started right away. One of the first things you want to understand is that every single lead source out there has viability in some way, shape, or form, especially when you're talking about some of the larger organizations. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist. If agents weren't able to obtain an ROI with those systems, then they would no longer be there. So Zillow wouldn't grow as large as they've grown by not giving real estate agents real returns on investment and help send them more qualified leads. Now, out there's a lot of industry myths, there's a lot of different pros and cons to the leads, but the truth speaking, from my experience with Zillow in general, leads convert if the energy is put forth and the personalities match. So today we're going to go over the ins and outs of the Zillow leads. We're going to go over some of the purchase process. We're going to go over the platform a little bit, and then we're going to focus on what we have for connection call questionnaire and what we do with that, how we review our calls, and how we ensure that we're constantly focused on the end goal, which is to turn more leads into qualified leads and to waste less time. So let's get started here. Jump over to my computer, and one of the first things I want to point out to you would be the Zillow My Ads section. So when you go into the Zillow Premier Agent app, you go into advertising, you go to My Ads. That's where you're able to see your dashboard of zip codes that you're buying. And as you can see on here, you can see the zip code I'm purchasing, you can see the average home price, and then you can also see average home price right here. You can also see how many connections you're getting for $870. So I'm getting 5.6 connections for $870 in this zip code currently. One of the things I want to point out about the zip codes is its competitive market space. So the more people purchasing into a zip code, the more competitive, the higher the prices rise. And every time that Zillow renews basically the way that their system's set up, if there's positive, like there's constant buying, the prices are going to go up. If there's not much buying, the prices might go down. One of the ways to identify what zip codes are available is to actually come into their pricing tool, which I actually find this really cool, right? Because you can go in and see what other people are spending. You can see what's available. So you just come into a zip code, 02191, Weymouth, Massachusetts. Looks like right now we have a 64% availability. One of the things I want to point out to you guys is most all these slots have 300% availability. It doesn't list it as such, but there's 3 spots available for each of these zip codes, and there's 100% for each one. So as people buy up the market share shrinks down. So it looks like there's 7.7 connections and 3.8 additional leads. So a connection is a direct connection, right? They actually call you and they say, hey, Sean, I've got this person on the phone. You ready to talk with them? And then we move forward. The additional leads could be nurture leads, which nurture leads are people that said, hey, Zillow, I'm not really looking to talk to you, or people that just didn't respond at all. So when those additional leads come in, they're another way for you to have more access to more leads, and to qualify them takes a little bit more work, but there is the option of making money. So if we select the zip code, we go ahead and we can actually see, so right now this Lynn Murphy and Valerie, they're both at a high percentage, but watch as I tick down and I buy leads, what happens to them? They slowly but surely have less of a percentage. So right now, because Lynn is buying in this zip code and she's taking up 200% of the market share, we can see that Lynn is spending quite significant figures in that area, but because there is so much unsold, the 64%, Lynn and Valerie and Amo are all getting way more than they paid for because there's still availability. Whereas if you were to look in some zip codes, there's only 8% available left over, right? As I work my way up, you see everyone else's lead count go down, but there's only 0.52 connection left unpaid for, where that other had 7.7. At the end of the day, when Zillow takes leads into their system, they have to allocate them out to somewhere. Where do they allocate them out to? They allocate them out to the agents that are buying in that zip code. So pay attention to undersold zip codes. I personally look at Zillow as more of a day trader thing, in the idea of I look at the zip code, see what's going on, and I constantly move my money around to where it's going to best serve me. Different people have different theories. Some people want to build a business in a specific zip code. They might be just buying the zip code to hold down that area. Other people look for volume of leads in order to have a higher conversion rate. So it's totally up to what you're doing. But coming into this tool, very easy. I'm not going to go much more into the Zillow platform. It's pretty easy to understand. We'll do that in a different episode. But today I want to go over our live connection call review. So as a brokerage, what did I do? I had my IT team set this up so that we could go in, listen to the calls, and put in the information we need in order to look over the calls to make sure we're doing it correctly. Because honest numbers, I've spent over $200,000 with Zillow over the years, and I want to make sure that I'm always getting a return on my investment. If I'm not getting a return on investment, I don't want to do it anymore. I can tell you recently I've been thinking about increasing my budget, not decreasing my budget, which I know a lot of people right now are shuffling around. They're trying to figure out how to decrease everything in their brokerage, but I'm actually in the point where I'm trying to increase because of the fact that we're seeing great return on investment lately, and we're seeing the call quality has risen a bit lately. So again, the goal here is to take Zillow leads and turn them into qualified buyers that want to purchase homes and use us. There's a little mantra that I say throughout the brokerage. I always say to people, listen, there's Zillow's once and ours forever. If you can think that way, Zillow's once, ours forever, then you're going to be able to build up a reputation where those Zillow clients come back to you, and then their friends, family, and referrals end up buying through you. So with this connection call review, we were able to see what's going on. We put in the different information we need to make sure agents are doing what it is we're looking for them to do. So the first one off is, did the agent sound excited to speak to the customer and ready? Because the Zillow line rings the mobile phone, a lot of times people, hello, oh, I'm in the middle of something, they don't have time, right? They're not excited to speak to the person on the phone, which can be an issue. You don't want to pick up a phone call and not be ready to speak to the client and not sound excited. Imagine talking to someone on the phone like, oh, yeah, that's good. That monotone voice, that non-energetic voice, it's not going to get you anywhere with the client other than the quick call and then the hang up. I want you to make sure to always hit these calls with high energy and be ready to talk with the people about real estate. Next up, did the agent say their name and the brokerage at the beginning of the call? A lot of agents here, they don't introduce themselves. Why? I don't know. Panic, rush, something along those lines. But truthfully speaking, take the time to introduce yourself, because one of the things I'm going to teach you is there's some deadly things to say to leads, right? To kill the lead off by accident is to tell them, hey, do you already have an agent? Or hey, are you pre-approved? So one of our ways of defending on the do you already have an agent, we introduce ourselves in the brokerage we work for in order to have them understand that if you thought you were calling Martha White from XYZ Realty, you didn't get that person. You got me. I'm not saying it in a negative way like that. I'm just saying, hey, my name is Sean Maloney over at Movementum Realty, which introduces who I am so that if they thought I was someone different, they have the ability now to say to me, hey, I'm actually looking to talk to Frank, not Sean, and we can go over it then. But we're giving that idea that I'm Sean Maloney over at Movementum Realty. So very important one to remember. Did the agent ask the customer when they wanted to see the property? One of the main goals of all these leads is to get into property as soon as possible. It's our goal and their goal alike. Why is it their goal? Because they don't understand how real estate works. They're looking to get out and see property, and they're trying to book a showing. They think that they can only talk to the list agent because they don't know that they have the right to representation. So Zillow connects them with a buyer's agent who can get them into those property, which is great. And then why do we want to get them in right away? Because the sooner we can get in front of a client and we can go there and talk with them, we can land them and we can keep them in our network. We can turn them from a Zillow lead into a qualified buyer, which is what today is all about. We want to make sure to get that person in front of us so they can see, I am a real person. I am a local real estate agent. I am trustworthy. I am dedicated. I am energetic. Giving them your full attention so that way they're Zillow's once and yours forever, so that you can build up a big, huge pile of leads and constantly be converting leads into qualified buyers and then actually selling them homes. Next up, did the agent ask the customer what other properties they would like to see? This is an important one in separating ourselves from the property again. When they call in and think with a list agent, they think we can only sell them this one property, right? We really need to sell them that property. Whereas during the call, I say, the great news is the way Zillow works is it connects you with a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent represents you and all your best interests. I can show any and all property that you see on the MLS system. Is there anything else while we're out looking at 51 Main Street that you would like to see? This introduces to them the idea that, hey, listen, I'm not stuck to selling you this one house. I work for you. I'm working for you to make sure you get the right house and you get in front of all the different options you have, so that way there we can see it. And also, back to the last one, we're continuing to build that relationship, right? By going to one house, two houses, we are now going from the person they met with to being their agent. This is so important, guys. Remember, the more often we can get in front of them and the more often we can make appointments with them, the more reliable we can become. Reliability is why people choose different agents. Reliability is what sets the difference apart of a person someone's wanting to work with versus feeling like, I'll just buy it through this one agent if this property works out. We want people who are those viral users who would tell all their friends and family all about you and say, how could you not use Sean? He's amazing. You should call Sean Maloney over at Movementum Realty. He'll hook you up and he really will pay attention to your needs. So guys, when you're talking with the property, when you're talking about the property, make sure to mention you can show other properties. Now, did the agent ask the customer what interested them about the properties? This is a very important one. So when we talk to people about what interested them about the property, in Zillow speak, they call it motivation, what motivated them about the property in their ALM system. But the what interested them is going to unlock some doors. Like, I mean, a lot of times you hear something like, oh, well, my grandmother's going to live with us, so we need a first floor bedroom. Now suddenly we know we got to find them a house with a first floor bedroom. They might say something like, my dog, he's an escape artist. I love the fenced in backyard. Or the proximity to Northeastern's perfect. My daughter's going to be going to college there. Or, you know what, I really like the parking because I have multiple cars and I needed some garage spaces, so that's why I'm looking at this property. This puts us on the inside track with them to better understand how we can help them accomplish their goals. Because remember, you're not a salesperson if you're doing this right. Over here at Movementum Realty, my brokerage, we call them Move Mentors because we believe they're a mentor and a guide. So the more you can work as a mentor and a guide towards finding their life perfect to where they're trying to go, the more they can be Zillow's once and yours forever. And that qualified lead can send you other qualified leads, which continue to grow your business in real estate, making you a top producer, which is, I think, all of our goals, right? We're not looking to make small paychecks. We're looking to grow. And I know most agents, when they get into this business, they get in for two reasons. One is limitless earning potential, and the other is to be their own boss. So be your own boss, guide yourself towards success, and make sure to learn what interested your clients about the properties, so that way there you can introduce the correct ones next. Next up, this is a no, guys. This is not a yes question. Did the agent look up the property or get specific details while on the call? Now, could you? Maybe. But the truth is, you're supposed to be focused on the call and really getting that follow-up. So when someone asks you questions like, is it gas, heat, or electric? How many garage spaces are there? You're best off to field all those questions, go get the answers, and bring them back to them. And here's the process. So Miss Jones says to you, Sean, what's the heating system, right? And Sean, what's the overall garage spaces? Towards the tail end of the call, I say, you know, it's great speaking to you. I know you had certain questions. You had asked me what the heating system was. Is that correct? Client says yes. And you also asked me to field the information about the garages. Is that correct? Client says yes. Let me say, okay, is there any other questions that you have? Client says no. Okay, I'm going to call you back as soon as possible. I'll try to call you around 5 p.m. tonight. We'll get you that information, and then we'll move forward from there. Now I call at 5 p.m. I'm reliable, right? I have the information. Possibly if I get it earlier, I can call earlier. If I can't get the information because the other agent doesn't answer their phone, what I can then do is go ahead and tell the person, hey, listen, I'm working on getting the information. Haven't heard back yet. But don't go silent. Don't go radio silent. Don't miss appointments on the follow-up call because you don't have the info. It's super common in real estate to be frustrated with other real estate agents for not getting back to you. Just let the client know, because in this Google, Uber, Netflix era, people are quick to go on to the next. So just keep the person fed with information. Let them know where you're at, that you're working for them, and that you'll be back to them soon, and they'll be perfectly fine. Create that reliability chain so that they know that you're a reliable person. And if you go on and try to grab the details during the call, what ends up happening is an awkwardness because you're trying to load the computer, you're up and down with your voice, you're moving around, you're not paying attention to them, you're not getting the questions, and you're not building that feeling of like connectivity. You're spending too much time on the content and the exact answers. And on a lot of these things, unfortunately, some of these are yes no questions. When you answer them, it could be the death of the conversation versus going and doing research. And when you get to that certain point and they say, well, Sean, I know you said it's electric. I'm absolutely not buying electric heat. No problem, Miss Jones. While I was off the phone with you, I was looking at other properties. Did you see these other two just like it? Both of them have gas heat, both of them within a mile. I think we should get out and look at that property. So notice during the downtime, I had more time to go field more information so that when I talked back with the client, I had information available if they fell out of that one property that I could get them into other property. As a real estate agent, you really want to know your inventory. Not knowing inventory is foolish, it's lazy, and you're probably not going to succeed. But knowing your market inventory, or at least studying it before calling the client back, gives you the opportunity to take that qualified buyer and take them from one property to another. The problem with a lot of people when they take in Zillow leads in general is they lose the Zillow lead before making it to the end line by not being able to smoothly transition from property to property, continuing and maintaining the relationship between them and the client. So remember, Zillow's once, mine forever. All right. Did the agent mention buyer's agency and explain how Zillow works? I mentioned that earlier on one of the other questions, but in general, I don't go ahead and say, hey, do you have an agent? I usually do something at some point during the call where I say, I just wanted to mention to you the way Zillow works. Zillow connects you with a buyer's agent. In the state of Massachusetts, you have the right to representation. I'd be working for you today as a buyer's agent for you and your best interest. My job is to get you the house for the least amount of money possible for the best terms possible for you. I look forward to working with you, right? So we explain how Zillow works without saying, do you have, yes or no? Because think about it, right? Back to the cell phone. You go in the cell phone store, you're picking up the Android, you're picking up the iPhone, you're looking at them both, you're thinking, what do I want to buy? And when the salesperson walks over and says, are you ready to buy? You say, no, I'm all set. Why? Because you panic when it's time to purchase. So in these times, we want to make sure the person understands who we are and that we're there to help them, but we're standing on standby, ready to go, and that there's no pressure involved. Next up, did the agent qualify the customer by asking them about their financing timeline? So in general speak, people say, are you pre-approved or not? What I like to say is, at what part of the process of getting the pre-approval are you at? So I want to normalize that there's a process and that it's normal to be at different steps to the process. Haven't started, have started, haven't got all the info, got a pre-approval, haven't updated it, wherever they're at in the process, because this allows them, instead of a yes, no, are you pre-approved, they think to themselves, he's vetting me. If I say no, I'm gone because he doesn't want to show me property because I am not there. That's why the yes, no is such a dangerous one versus at what stage of the pre-approval process are you at, allows the client to tell you more about what they're doing. And then when they say, you know what, Sean, I haven't started the process, I can say something along the lines of, hey guys, that's not a problem. Would you like me to have a mortgage professional reach out to you to help you get started? That way there you can find out what you're pre-approved for, because do remember, as we go out and look at property, if we like it, we won't be able to write an offer. And in the current market, which is 10/31/2023, actually 10/13/2023, it's hot here in Massachusetts. So if you're not ready to make an offer, you're not ready on a property, it can be tough because you go out, look at the property, person really loves it, you didn't properly explain it. So remember, as a real estate agent, one of the things we're doing is setting expectations, but in a positive building manner versus a me versus you manner. So I always want to think, how can I say it and frame it in a way where I'm helping you reach your goal without stopping you, and I'm not the reason for it, I'm just trying to educate you on how it goes. All right, so next up, did the agent successfully set an appointment with the customer either to meet or follow up with more info? That's an important one, guys. So the follow-up or the scheduled appointment does not necessarily have to be a house showing. Ultimately, a house showing or going out for a CMA would be excellent, great way to start it off. But if you can't get that, set up follow-ups. It could be a first-time homebuyer course for the future. It could be set up a follow-up to talk with the mortgage professional together. It could be a setup to a follow-up to talk about properties. It could be, I'll get back to you to let you know about the appointment. But never hang up the phone and just be like, it was great talking to you, Miss Jones. Have a great day. No, because it's the end of a conversation. You have no reason to reach back out. Give yourself permission so that when you follow back up, you can use the words, as promised, I am calling you back to give you the following information. This makes it so much easier to talk to the person, and they're much more receptive to the phone call because they don't just think that you're calling them to harass them. You're calling them and just saying, as promised, I told you I was going to get you info. Here's the info. That's how you become reliable. That's how you gain trust through these clients. Next up, was the call less than 3 minutes in length? This is the final question that we have on this review set. And we used to think 20, 40 minutes. We used to talk to the people forever. Why? Because we're trying to build a relationship. We're trying to do all this stuff. But what we have realized in time, as well as Zillow has mentioned in their own trainings, is the people are calling oftentimes on lunch break, in between things, all these other times. They don't have that much time, nor do they need it. So spending 20 or 30 minutes is almost holding them against their will versus giving them the information they need so that they can move forward with their day. When you get in front of them in person at the house, that's when you can give them the rest of your spiel and you can introduce everything. But really, 3 to 5 minutes, we don't want to see the calls much more than that because it's actually asking too much from the client and they don't have the interest, right? So the interest goes lower and then suddenly they're not there anymore. They're not where we were and they're not willing to talk with us any further. So let's get back to it, guys. I really appreciate you coming into this episode to learn more about unlocking the powers of Zillow. I know a lot of you, I'd love to see your comments below. I know there's a lot of Zillow haters out there. I know there's people who aren't finding success. Ask me any questions you have. Ask me anything you want. Like I said, I've spent over $200,000 with the program. I have a positive return on investment. I'd love to hear what you're seeing. If you haven't already done so, make sure to pound that subscribe button, join the channel, follow up on everything. We have all sorts of great free stuff going on. Real facts on realestate.com. You can get all our information. And I look forward to meeting you guys on the next video and giving you more great free information all about real estate.